The sun is beginning to lower itself behind the distant hills. It is not yet night, but the heat of the day has broken, leaving behind a gentle, cooling air. We are far outside the city walls. We are in the quiet foothills where the grass is long and still. Here, the world is made of green earth and gray stone. There is no hurry here. There is no noise of the market, no sound of wheels on pavement, no voices calling out. There is only the sound of water. It is a steady, continuous sound. It is not a rushing river, and it is not a crashing wave. It is a contained, disciplined flow. This is the beginning of the aqueduct. Here at the spring, the water rises from deep within the earth. It is clear. It is cold. It flows over smooth pebbles, sorting them gently, moving them slightly, before entering the stone channel that has been waiting for it. Relax your shoulders. There is nothing you need to do. There is no history lesson to memorize here. There are no dates to recall. There is only the water and the stone and the slow arrival of the evening. The channel is built of heavy limestone blocks. They are rough to the touch, warmed by the sun that has shone on them all day. Now, as the light turns golden and soft, the stones begin to release that heat back into the air. If you were to place your hand on the side of the aqueduct, you would feel a faint warmth, solid and reassuring. The stones are joined together with mortar, a mixture of lime and volcanic ash. It is a simple gray line that runs between the blocks, holding them perfectly still. The water enters the covered channel. This is the specus. It is a tunnel for the water, rectangular and dark. The roof of the channel is made of flat stone slabs, protecting the water from the sun, keeping it cool, keeping it pure. Inside the dark tunnel, the water moves. It moves because the Romans have calculated the slope with perfect patience. It is not a steep drop. It is a very gentle incline. For every 100 feet the aqueduct travels, it drops only a few inches. Think about that slow descent. A few inches across the length of a field, it is barely noticeable. To the human eye, the aqueduct looks perfectly flat, but the water feels the gravity. The water knows the way. It flows effortlessly, sliding over the waterproof cement that lines the bottom of the channel. The cement is smooth, polished by years of flowing water. There is no friction. There is no resistance. Just the water moving forward inch by inch, mile by mile. Let your mind drift along with the current. You are floating on the surface of this water in the cool shadow of the stone roof. It is quiet here. The only sound is the water lapping specifically against the sides of the channel. A soft shh, shh, shh. Outside, a man is walking along the service path next to the aqueduct. His name does not matter. He is an inspector of the water, Aquarius. He wears a simple tunic of undyed wool, rough and scratching slightly against his skin, but he is used to it. He wears leather sandals that are worn thin at the soles. He walks slowly. He is not marching. He is not patrolling for enemies. He is simply walking the line as he did yesterday and as he will do tomorrow. He stops. He looks at a section of the wall where a small patch of moss has grown on the north side. He reaches out a hand and brushes the moss with his thumb. It is soft and damp. He looks at it for a moment, deciding it does no harm. He leaves it there. He continues to walk. The pace of his walking matches the pace of the water, slow, steady, unchanging. To his left, the landscape opens up. The hills are rolling gently down towards the plains. The olive groves are silent. The trees are twisted and old, their leaves a dusty silver green. In the fading light, the silver turns to gray. The branches do not move because there is no wind. The air is still. It smells of dry grass and cooling dust. The inspector stops again. He leans against one of the heavy stone arches that support the channel as it crosses a small dip in the land. The arch is solid. It feels permanent. It has stood here for 50 years, perhaps more. It will stand here for 1,000 more. It does not feel the weight of the water above it. It simply holds it effortlessly. The man takes a small skin of water from his belt. He takes a sip. The water is tepid, but it clears the dust from his throat. He caps the skin and looks out at the horizon. The sun is now a half circle of deep orange, sinking into the purple haze of the distant mountains. The sky is changing colors, from blue to pale yellow to a soft, bruised violet. You do not need to watch the sunset. You can just feel the light fading. You can feel the eyelids becoming heavier just as the sky becomes darker. The day is done. The work is finished. There is nothing left to solve. The water continues to flow. It does not stop for the sunset. It passes over the arch where the man is standing, flowing just a few feet above his head, hidden inside the stone. Gallons and gallons of water moving silently towards the city. It carries no message. It carries no agenda. It is simply water obeying the laws of nature. Further down the line, the aqueduct enters a small tunnel cut through a hill. The Romans did not want to build a bridge here, so they dug through the earth. The tunnel is dark. The air inside is damp and smells of wet clay. The water enters the darkness without hesitation. It flows through the blackness, guided by the smooth walls. Imagine the absolute darkness inside that tunnel. There is no light at all, just the sound of the flow. It is a comforting darkness, a wrapping darkness. It is the darkness of deep sleep. The water is safe there. It is protected by the hill. It moves through the earth, cool and unbothered. Back outside, the first star has appeared. It is Venus, the evening star, bright and steady in the western sky. The inspector looks up and sees it. He breathes out a long, slow breath. His shift is nearly over. He will soon walk back to his small hut near the maintenance station. He will eat some bread and cheese. He will sleep. But for now, he just stands. He listens to the crickets beginning their night song. Chirp, 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 a rhythmic, monotonous sound. It blends with the sound of the water. The landscape is losing its color. The green of the grass is turning to black. The gray of the stone is turning to shadow. The world is becoming simple. It is reducing itself to shapes and outlines. The details are fading away. You do not need to see the details anymore. They are not important. The aqueduct stretches out before us, a long, straight line cutting across the darkening fields. It looks like a sleeping snake made of stone. It is motionless, yet inside, there is constant, gentle movement. Let us follow the water further, past the inspector who is now turning to walk home, past the olive grove, past the tunnel in the hill. The land begins to flatten. We are approaching the plains that lead to the city. But the city is still far away. It is just a glow on the horizon, a faint amber light against the dark sky. We are not there yet. We are still in the quiet country. Here the aqueduct is raised higher. The arches become taller. They rise up from the fields, rhythmic and identical, arch after arch after arch. If you were to count them, you would lose count. 100, 101, 102. They are all the same. They blur together in the twilight. Beneath the arches, a flock of sheep is settling down for the night. They are huddled together in a pen made of wooden hurdles. They are white shapes in the gloom. They are quiet now. Occasionally, one shifts its weight or breathes out softly. The shepherd is nowhere to be seen. Perhaps he is asleep nearby, wrapped in his cloak. The sheep are safe under the stone arches. The structure protects them. The water flows above them. It is a river in the sky. It flows over the sleeping sheep, over the silent fields, over the dirt roads where no one is walking. Listen closely to the silence. It is not empty, it is full of peace. It is a heavy, soft silence that presses gently against your ears. It blocks out the noise of the modern world. Here in the Roman countryside, there are no engines. There are no notifications. There are no alarms. There is only the earth turning slowly into the night. The temperature drops another degree. A light mist begins to rise from the damp ground near a creek. The mist curls around the base of the aqueduct's pillars. It moves slowly like a ghost, wrapping the stone in a blanket of white fog. The stone does not mind. The stone is cold and hard. We drift along the top of the aqueduct. We are weightless. We are moving at the speed of the water, which is a slow walking pace. We are in no rush to reach the city. The journey is the only thing that matters. The slow, repetitive journey. The mortar between the stones is old. It has seen thousands of nights like this. It has felt the rain and the sun and the wind. It holds firm. It is patient. Everything here is patient. The trees are patient. The hills are patient. The stars are patient. You can be patient too. There is no destination you need to reach right now. You are exactly where you need to be, watching the water flow, watching the night fall. In the distance, a dog barks, once, twice. Then silence returns. The bark does not disturb the peace. It only emphasizes how quiet it is. The sound travels far across the flatland, fading away until it is gone completely. The water moves through a section where the channel is open for inspection. For a brief moment, the water is exposed to the starlight. The surface of the water reflects the single bright star above, a tiny point of light dancing gently on the black water. Then, the channel is covered again by the stone slabs, and the water returns to the dark. It flows, it flows, it flows. It is a hypnotic rhythm, nature's metronome. If you listen to it long enough, your breathing will sync with it. Slow, fluid, continuous. The ground below is dark now. Night has fully arrived. The details of the landscape are gone. There is only the massive silhouette of the aqueduct against the star-filled sky. It looks like a bridge to nowhere, a monument to silence. We are drifting closer to a small farmhouse. It is a simple square building with a tiled roof. There is no light in the window. The family inside is asleep. They work with the sun and they sleep with the sun. They are resting. Their day was full of simple tasks, planting, harvesting, mending. Now they are motionless. The aqueduct passes right by their wall. They must hear the faint hum of the water through the stone as they sleep. It is a lullaby for them. A reminder that the empire is working, that the water is coming, that life continues without effort. Feel the stability of the ground. The earth is solid beneath the aqueduct. It does not shake. It supports the weight of the water and the stone without complaint. You are supported too. You are held up by the bed, by the floor, by the foundation of the building, by the earth itself. You can let go of your weight. You can let the earth carry you. The water carries itself. It slides around a gentle curve. The Romans built the curve wide and smooth so the water would not splash. They wanted the water to remain calm. They wanted no turbulence, just a smooth, glass-like surface. As we move around the curve, the view changes slightly. We can see the outline of a cypress tree, tall, thin, and pointed. It stands like a sentinel in the dark. It does not move. It is a black shape against a dark blue sky. The air is crisp now. If you were there, you would pull your cloak tighter around your shoulders. You would feel the cool air on your face. It is fresh air, clean and smelling of night dew. The inspector has reached his hut. We can imagine him sitting on a wooden stool, unlacing his sandals. He places them on the floor. Clop, clop. He lies down on a straw mattress. He closes his eyes. He is asleep within moments. His breathing is deep and slow. We leave him there. We stay with the water. The water never sleeps. It travels through the night, a silent traveler bringing life to the city. But the city is still miles away. We have plenty of time. We have all the time in the world. The journey continues inch by inch, stone by stone. The night has deepened. The sky is no longer purple. It is a profound, velvety black. The moon has risen, a waning crescent that casts a pale, silver light over the landscape. It is not a bright light. It is a light that suggests shapes rather than revealing them. It paints the world in shades of gray and charcoal. We are moving with the water, further away from the hills, descending gradually towards the broad valley floor. The incline is still barely perceptible. To the eye, the aqueduct is a straight, level road of stone hovering above the earth. But the water feels the drop. It slides forward, compelled by gravity, moving with a slick, silent determination. Here, the aqueduct crosses through a region of vineyards. The land on either side of the stone arches is dedicated to the grape. In the daylight, this would be a busy place, filled with workers pruning the vines, tying back the shoots, checking the soil. But now, under the moonlight, it is a garden of statues. The vines are twisted, gnarled wood rooted deep in the rocky soil. They stand in perfect rows, stretching out into the darkness like soldiers standing at attention. Thousands of vines, row after row after row. They are motionless. The leaves are broad and dark, creating heavy shadows underneath. Imagine the smell here. It is different from the smell of the pine hills. It smells of rich, turned earth. It smells of green vegetation and the faint, sweet scent of ripening fruit. It is a humid, heavy scent that hangs low to the ground. The aqueduct cuts through the middle of the vineyard. The arches here are lower, perhaps only 10 feet off the ground. The structure feels grounded, anchored. The pillars are thick and square. Vines have begun to creep up the base of some of the pillars. The Roman overseers try to keep the stone clean, but nature is persistent. Small tendrils of green grip the rough limestone, reaching upward, seeking the cool moisture of the stone. We drift slowly past a wooden trellis. It is old, the wood gray and weathered. It leans slightly to the left. A spider has spun a web between the trellis and the aqueduct pillar. The web catches the moonlight. It looks like a net of spun glass. It is perfect. It is still. The spider waits in the center, motionless. It is not hunting, it is simply existing. The water inside the channel above flows past the spider, past the web, past the vines. It does not know they are there. It is sealed in its rectangular tunnel. The stone slabs on top are thick. They block out the moonlight. Inside, the water is in total darkness. Let your mind enter that darkness again. It is not a scary darkness. It is a restful darkness. It is the color of sleep. The water molecules tumble over one another, frictionless, cool, liquid. There is a sound here, a low, resonant hum. It is the sound of the water vibrating against the stone walls. It is a white noise, constant and unchanging. HMMMMM. If you listen very closely, you might hear a slight change in the pitch. We are approaching a castellum aquae, a distribution tank or a settling basin. This is a small structure built into the line of the aqueduct. It is a square building made of brick and concrete. The water enters the basin. The space widens. The current slows down. This is by design. The Roman engineers knew that the water carries small particles of sand and grit from the spring. They built this basin to let the water rest for a moment. As the water slows, the heavy sand sinks to the bottom, settling into a layer of soft mud on the floor of the tank. The water here is calm. It swirls gently, lazy and slow. It takes a deep breath. The surface of the water in the tank is like a black mirror. If you were inside and there was a crack in the roof, you would see the reflection of the moon perfectly still on the water's surface. But there is no crack. It is sealed tight. The water pauses, cleanses itself, drops its burden of sand, and then finds the exit channel. It flows out the other side, lighter, clearer, ready to continue the journey. Outside the settling tank, a maintenance path runs alongside the structure. It is a dirt path packed hard by feet and sandals over many decades. A small stone marker stands by the path. It is a sippus, a boundary stone. It has letters carved into it marking the distance from the source and the name of the emperor who authorized the repairs. The letters are worn down by the rain. IMPCAES. The rest is faded. It doesn't matter. The stone remembers. A light breeze picks up. It rustles the leaves of a fig tree growing near the maintenance shed. Rustle, SHHH, rustle. The leaves rub against each other like dry paper. The sound is dry and soft. The breeze is not cold. It is just moving air, rearranging the temperature of the night. Nearby, there is a small shrine. It is very simple, a niche carved into the rock with a small roof of terracotta tiles. Inside stands a small, crude statue of a water nymph. It is made of clay. Someone has left a small offering, a dried flower now brown and brittle. The nymph watches over the water. She watches the aqueduct day and night. She does not blink. She does not speak. She is a silent guardian of the flow. We move on. The vineyard ends. The land changes texture. We are entering a pasture. The grass here is short, grazed by cattle. The ground is uneven, dotted with stones and small shrubs. The aqueduct rises higher again. The ground drops away into a shallow ravine, so the arches must stretch their legs. They become tall and slender. They look elegant in the moonlight. The shadows they cast on the grass are long and distorted. The shadows stretch out across the field, black bars against the gray grass. Under one of these tall arches, a cow is standing. It is awake, but barely. It stands with its head low, chewing its cud. The rhythmic motion of its jaw is slow. Chew, pause, chew, pause. It blinks its large, dark eyes. It looks at the stone pillar next to it. It does not understand what the structure is. It only knows that the stone blocks the wind. It leans its flank against the pillar. The warmth of the animal meets the cool of the stone. The water flows 60 feet above the cow's head. It crosses the ravine. The wind is stronger up here. It whistles slightly as it passes through the arcade of arches. A low, mournful, hollow sound. Woo, it is the voice of the architecture. We are traveling at a steady 2 miles per hour. It is a pace that never varies. It is the pace of a slow heartbeat. To the right in the distance, we can see the outline of a farmhouse. This is a villa rustica. It is larger than the hut we saw earlier. It has a courtyard and a high wall. The gates are barred with heavy timber. Inside, the household is asleep. The master, the family, the servants, the slaves, everyone is in the realm of dreams. There is a faint glow coming from one small window. Perhaps a lamp has been left burning, or perhaps someone is awake, tending to a sick child or nursing a worry. But from here, it is just a tiny, orange pinprick in the vast canvas of the night. It looks lonely. It looks warm. The roof of the villa is tiled in red clay. The tiles are overlapping like fish scales. The moonlight turns them into a muted rust color. A cat is walking along the ridge of the roof. It moves with fluid grace, placing each paw silently. It stops. It sits. It wraps its tail around its paws. It looks up at the aqueduct. It watches the massive stone snake cutting across the sky. The cat yawns, stretching its jaw wide, then settles down to watch the night. Back in the channel, the water encounters a turn. The aqueduct must change direction to avoid a ridge of hard granite. The turn is gradual. The channel banks slightly. The water follows the curve, pressing gently against the outer wall. The flow is smooth. There is no splashing. The Roman masons smoothed this curve with extra care, polishing the cement until it was as smooth as marble. They did this 100 years ago. The water is still grateful for it. The landscape below is becoming more open. We can see for miles. The plains stretch out, a patchwork of fields and fallow land. There are dark squares of plowed earth and lighter squares of wheat stubble. The boundaries between the fields are marked by low stone walls or lines of trees. Everything is geometric. Everything is ordered. The chaos of the wild forest is far behind us. Here, the hand of Rome is visible in the straight lines and the organized earth. Even in the dark, you can feel the structure. It is safe. It is predictable. The aqueduct is the spine of this landscape. It is the artery that feeds the life of the region. We pass over a small country road. It is a white strip of gravel in the moonlight. It is empty. No carts, no horses, no soldiers, just the road waiting for the morning. The dust on the road is still. If a beetle were to crawl across it, it would leave a trail that would last until dawn. Wait, there is something on the road. A cart has been left by the side, perhaps with a broken wheel. It sits tilted at an angle, its wooden spokes silhouetted against the sky. It looks abandoned, a relic of the day's labor. It is silent. The wood is cooling, contracting slightly with tiny creaks that no one hears. The water crosses the road on a bridge of 3 arches. It does not stop to look at the cart. It continues its march towards the city. The air is getting damper. We are approaching a river valley. The aqueduct will not cross the river yet, but it runs parallel to it for a while. You can smell the river water. It smells different from the spring water. It smells of mud and fish and reeds. It is a wilder smell. A mist hangs over the river, a ribbon of white fog that winds through the valley. The aqueduct stays high above the mist. It stays in the clear air. It is superior to the river. The river wanders and floods and dries up. The aqueduct is constant. It is controlled. It is pure. Inside the channel, the water is cool, sitting at a steady temperature. It has traveled 10 miles from the source now. It has many more miles to go. It carries the memory of the deep earth where it was born. Let's slow down even more. Let's look at the mortar between 2 specific blocks of stone. The mortar is gritty. It has tiny specks of black volcanic sand mixed into the white lime. It is hard as rock. A small lichen is growing on the mortar, a circular patch of orange and gray. It grows so slowly that in a human lifetime it might only expand an inch. It is time made visible. Next to the lichen there is a small chip in the stone, a mark left by a chisel when this block was shaped. A mason made that strike. He stood here under the hot sun, wiping sweat from his brow. He struck the stone. Clink. The chip flew off. He is long gone. His name is forgotten. But the mark of his chisel remains high up in the air under the moonlight. The silence of the night is deep. It is a blanket that covers everything. Under this blanket, the world is regenerating. The plants are drinking the dew. The animals are resting their muscles. The people are repairing their minds in sleep. And the water is working. It is the only thing that does not need to rest. It flows to the baths, to the fountains, to the private basins of the wealthy, to the public cisterns of the poor. It is a gift that keeps arriving. As we drift along, the moon climbs a fraction higher. The shadows shift, rotating slowly clockwise. The shadow of the aqueduct moves across a patch of wild flowers. They are closed for the night, their petals folded tight. The shadow touches them, cools them, passes over them. We are suspended in a state of waiting, waiting for nothing, just being. The rhythm of the flow is steady, fluid, forward, forever. There is no anxiety here. The aqueduct has stood through storms, through droughts, through the reigns of good emperors and bad emperors. It does not care about politics. It cares only about the slope. The slope is the law. We reach a section where the aqueduct runs along a retaining wall, hugging the side of a steep hill. The valley floor is far below on the left. On the right, the hill rises up, covered in scrub brush and cypress trees. The path is narrow here. A night bird calls out, an owl. Hoo, 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 it is a soft sound muffled by the feathers. It comes from the cypress trees. It pauses, then again. Hoo, 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 it is asking a question to the night. There is no answer, only the sound of the wind in the brush. The water slides past the owl. It slides past the hill. It is moving towards a destination it cannot see, with a blind faith in the stone channel. You can have that faith too. You can trust the structure of your life to hold you up while you rest. You can trust that the morning will come without you having to force it. The stars are very bright now. The Milky Way is a faint smear of light across the center of the sky. The Romans called it the Via Lactea. They saw it as a road of milk, a celestial aqueduct. Below the road of milk, the road of water continues. Stone block after stone block, mile after mile, the repetition is soothing. It is boring. It is perfect. The visual field is simple: dark sky, pale moon, gray stone, black shadows. There is nothing else to process. Your eyes can rest. Your mind can rest. We are drifting towards a small grove of walnut trees. The trees are large, with spreading canopies. They create a tunnel of darkness. The aqueduct does not go through them, but passes beside them. The scent of walnut leaves is sharp and distinctive. Under the trees it is pitch black. You cannot see the trunks. You can only feel the presence of the wood. The dampness is trapped there. As we leave the walnut grove behind, the landscape opens up again. The horizon is flat and far away. The journey is long. We are only in the second stage. There is so much more silence to explore. The water flows on. The land falls away. The ground, which has been our steady companion, suddenly drops deep into a gorge. We have reached the river crossing. To cross this empty space, the Romans have built a mountain of stone. It is a bridge of arches stacked upon arches, rising out of the valley floor like a man-made cliff. It is quiet here, but the silence is different. It is a vast, airy silence. The aqueduct does not dip. It does not descend to meet the river. It stays high, maintaining its precious elevation. To keep the water level, the stone must rise. The bottom tier of arches is massive, thick pillars rooted in the river banks. Above them, a second tier of arches, lighter and slimmer. And above that, the third tier, small and rhythmic, carrying the water channel itself. We are at the very top. We are 150 feet in the air. The wind is stronger here. It comes down the river valley, channeling through the gorge. It presses against the stone face of the aqueduct. Whoosh! It is a continuous, hollow sound. It tugs at the moss growing in the cracks. It cools the stone blocks until they are as cold as ice. Far below, the river is a dark, twisting ribbon. It is the wild cousin of the water in the aqueduct. The river flows where it wants. It crashes over rocks. It swirls in eddies. It is noisy and chaotic. But from this height, its roar is reduced to a murmur, a soft, distant static. The water in the aqueduct ignores the river. It flows in its straight, covered box, safe from the wind, safe from the fall. It crosses the abyss without fear. Let us pause in the middle of the bridge. Look down. The distance to the ground is dizzying. The moonlight catches the white foam of the river far below. It looks like a painting, small and still. The trees on the riverbank look like bushes. The world down there is separate from us. We are in the sky. Standing on the service walkway near the center of the bridge is a sentry. He is a soldier of the local cohort assigned to guard the aqueduct. It is a lonely post. There are no enemies here. There are no barbarian armies in the woods. There is only the cold and the night. He leans against the stone parapet. He is wrapped in a heavy woolen cloak, a sagum dyed a dull red. The wool is thick and scratchy, but it holds the heat of his body. He has pulled the hood up over his helmet. Only his nose and chin are visible, pale in the moonlight. He is not standing at attention. He is resting. His spear, the pilum, leans against the wall next to him. The iron tip of the spear is dull. It does not shine. He has his arms crossed inside his cloak to keep his hands warm. He shifts his weight from one foot to the other. The leather of his Kalagi boots creaks softly. Creak. He looks out at the valley. He is not looking for anything in particular. He is watching the mist move over the water. He counts the stars. He yawns. It is a long, slow yawn that stretches his jaw. His breath plumes out in a white cloud, vanishing instantly in the wind. He is bored. It is a profound, deep boredom. He has stood here for 4 hours. He has 4 hours left. He thinks about a game of dice he played 2 days ago. He thinks about the bowl of lentil stew he will eat when he returns to the barracks. He thinks about the itch on his left shoulder that he cannot reach. He does not know that he is guarding one of the greatest engineering feats of the ancient world. To him, it is just a cold wall of stone. He taps his foot against the pavement. Tap, 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 he sighs. The water flows past him. It is only a few feet away, hidden behind the stone slabs. He can hear it if he leans his head back. A low rumble, the lifeblood of the empire rushing past the bored soldier. We leave him there, alone with his thoughts and the wind. We drift further along the bridge. The structure is so solid that it does not vibrate, even with tons of water moving across it. The Romans used no mortar for these massive lower blocks. They were cut so perfectly that they fit together by weight alone. Friction and gravity hold them in place. They have locked together for centuries. The moonlight casts geometric shadows through the arches. On the valley floor, the shadow of the bridge looks like a giant ladder lying on the ground. We reach the other side of the gorge. The ground rises up to meet us. The aqueduct is no longer a soaring bridge. It becomes a low wall again. The wind dies down. The roar of the river fades away behind us. We are back in the quiet shelter of the hills. The land here is rocky and barren. There are no farms here, only scrub brush and wild thyme. The scent of the thyme is released when the dew settles on it. It is a sharp, herbal smell. A small fox is trotting along the path. It stops when it smells the soldier back on the bridge, though he is far away now. The fox's ears twitch. It is a creature of the night, comfortable in the shadows. It looks at the aqueduct. It knows that small mice sometimes hide in the drainage holes at the base of the pillars. It creeps forward, silent as smoke. It sniffs the stone. It finds nothing. It moves on, disappearing into the brush. The water continues its journey. It enters a section where the channel is cut directly into the rock face of a cliff. The builders hacked away the limestone to create a shelf. The channel sits on this shelf. On the left is the solid wall of the cliff. On the right is a drop into the darkness. The stone of the cliff retains the heat of the day longer than the air. If you were to touch the cliff face, it would still feel faintly tepid. The aqueduct hugs this warmth. We are approaching a small maintenance hatch. It is a heavy stone slab with an iron ring. It is closed, but through the cracks a tiny amount of moisture has escaped. A patch of ferns has grown here, feeding on the leaked water. The ferns are delicate, their fronds uncurling in the damp air. They are a vibrant green, even in the dark. They are the secret children of the aqueduct. The path curves around the hill. Below us, a small vicus, a village, comes into view. It is a cluster of perhaps 20 houses. They are huddled together for safety and company. The roofs are low. The streets are narrow dirt tracks. The village is completely silent. There is no movement. Everyone is asleep. These are the people who work the quarries nearby. Their lives are hard and heavy. Sleep is their only escape. In the center of the village there is a communal well. It is dry this time of year. That is why the aqueduct is here. A small pipe, a lead fistula, branches off from the main line here. It diverts a tiny stream of water down to a fountain in the village square. Let us follow this side stream for a moment. The water drops down a lead pipe, rushing faster now because of the steep angle. It spirals down, down, down into the village. It bursts out of a spout shaped like a lion's head. The water falls into a stone basin. Splash, splash, splash. This is the only sound in the village. The fountain is overflowing. The cool water spills over the rim of the basin and runs into a gutter in the street. A stray dog is lapping at the water. Lap, lap, lap. The dog is old and scruffy. It drinks its fill, shakes its head, the water droplets flying in the air, and then lies down on the dry dust next to the fountain. It rests its chin on its paws. It closes its eyes. The main channel of the aqueduct does not stop for the village. It kept 99% of the water. It flows on, high above the sleeping houses. It is indifferent to the thirst of the people below. It has a larger purpose. It is going to the great city. We return to the main channel. The rhythm resumes, gliding over the dark water. The surface is smooth again. The disturbance of the bridge crossing is settled. We pass a milestone. It is a tall, round column standing by the service track. It marks the distance, XX miles, 20 miles from the city. We are getting closer, but the pace does not change. The water does not hurry. The clouds overhead are beginning to thicken. They drift across the moon, dimming its light. The world goes from silver to dark gray. The shadows disappear. Everything becomes flat and indistinct. It is a time of deep obscurity. You are safe in this obscurity. You do not need to see clearly. You can close your eyes and just feel the motion. The gentle, forward slide. To the side of the aqueduct there is an old Roman road, the Via. It runs straight as an arrow. It is paved with large, polygonal stones, fitted together like a puzzle. The stones are smooth and polished by the wheels of thousands of carts, but tonight the road is empty. Wait, there is a sound on the road, a rhythmic clop, clop, clop. It is faint, coming from the distance. It gets slowly louder. A lone horseman is approaching. He is riding at a walk. The horse is tired. Its head is low. The rider is slumped in the saddle. He is a courier, perhaps carrying a message of no great importance. A tax receipt. A letter from a merchant. He does not look up at the aqueduct. He is watching the road, waiting for the inn that lies a few miles ahead. The horse's hooves strike the stone. Clack, clack, clack. The sound echoes off the side of the aqueduct. The rhythm of the horse interlocks with the rhythm of the water. They travel together for a while, the water and the horse, living creature and elemental force. Then the road veers away to the right. The sound of the hooves fades into the darkness. Clack, 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 gone. Silence returns, the heavy, blanketed silence of the deep night. The air is becoming misty again. We are entering a low-lying area, a marsh that has been drained by Roman engineers. Ditches run in grid patterns across the land. The water in the ditches is stagnant and still, but the water in the aqueduct is moving. It is alive. The mist rises up and covers the arches. We are flying through a cloud. We cannot see the ground. We cannot see the sky. There is only the stone tunnel and the water. It is a white void. It feels like we are floating in nothingness. There is no up or down, just the flow. Condensation forms on the ceiling of the channel. Drops of water gather on the stone slabs. They grow heavy. They fall. Plip. A drop hits the moving water. Ripples spread out in perfect circles, hitting the walls and bouncing back. Plip. Another drop. This is the internal weather of the aqueduct. It rains inside, even when it is dry outside. The dampness smells of wet lime and mineral deposits. It is a clean, stony smell. It clears the sinuses. It is the smell of the underground brought up into the air. We drift out of the mist. The view clears. Ahead we see a dark shape looming. It is a watchtower. It is square and tall, standing on a hillock. There is a brazier burning on top, a small fire to signal that all is well. The fire is a dull red glow. The guard up there is likely asleep or staring into the coals. The smoke rises straight up, a thin gray line. The aqueduct passes the tower. We are unnoticed. We are invisible travelers. The night is at its midpoint, the dead of night, the time when the world is most still. Even the insects have quieted down. The air is heavy with sleep. The structure of the aqueduct changes again here. The ground is uneven, so the Romans built a solid wall instead of arches. It is a massive embankment of earth and stone, 20 feet high. The channel sits on top of this wall. Grass has grown on the slopes of the embankment. It is long and soft. If you were to lie down in that grass, you would feel the vibrations of the water deep in the ground. A hum, a lullaby from the earth. A large stone sits by the path. A lizard is sleeping in a crack of the rock. It is cold-blooded, waiting for the sun that is still hours away. It is perfectly still, like a fossil. Everything is waiting. The trees wait, the stones wait, the lizard waits. But the water does not wait. It cannot wait. It has been given a command by gravity, and it obeys without question. It moves around a bend, revealing a new stretch of darkness. The landscape is repetitive. Another field, another hill, another grove of trees. It is the same over and over again. This repetition is a comfort. You know what to expect. There will be no surprises, just the night and the land and the water. We are miles from where we started. The source is far behind us. The destination is getting closer. But here, in the middle, there is only the process. the long, slow process of transport. The cement lining of the channel is slightly rougher here. The water turbulates slightly. It creates tiny eddies that spin and vanish. Spin and vanish. It is a mesmerizing dance. You can let your thoughts spin and vanish like those eddies. Let them dissolve into the current. Let the water take them away. You don't need them right now. The darkness is soft. It is not empty space. It is a presence. It wraps around the aqueduct like a blanket. It holds the structure together. We drift on, carried by the gentle force of the incline. The journey is easy. The path is laid out. There are no decisions to make. Just flow. The night has settled into its deepest phase. The world is suspended in a heavy, comfortable stillness. The air is cold now. The heat of the day has completely evaporated from the earth, leaving behind a chill that settles in the hollows and the valleys. We are drifting along the aqueduct as it crosses a wide, flat plain. The ground below is dark and indistinct. There are no hills here to break the wind, so a gentle breeze flows steadily across the landscape. It pushes against the stone arches with a constant, low pressure. In the distance to the left of our path, there is a faint red glow. It is a warm, pulsing light near the ground. As we get closer, the shape of the light becomes clearer. It is a cluster of kilns. This is a brickworks, a place where the red clay of the valley is turned into the tiles and bricks that build the empire. The work here never truly stops, but at this hour it has slowed to a crawl. The fires in the great ovens have been banked down. They are not roaring, they are glowing. Deep, red eyes staring out into the night. A single worker is tending the kilns. He is an old man, his skin the color of leather stained with soot. He moves with extreme slowness. He holds a long iron poker. He opens the door of one kiln. A wave of orange light spills out, illuminating his face and the dusty ground. He pushes a log deeper into the coals. Scrape, thud. He closes the door. The light vanishes, returning the world to shadow. He sits down on a pile of rejected bricks. He wraps his heavy cloak around himself. He watches the smoke rise from the chimney. The smoke is thick and gray. It rises straight up for a moment, then catches the breeze and drifts away, dissolving into the darkness. Nearby, rows of finished bricks are stacked to cool. They are cooling slowly. As they contract in the night air, they make tiny sounds. Tick-tink, it is the sound of the clay settling into its final form. It is a microscopic shift. The bricks are becoming stone. The aqueduct passes silently above the brickworks. The water feels nothing of the heat. It is insulated by the thick walls of the channel. It stays cool. It stays constant. Inside the channel, the walls are not as smooth as they were near the source. Here, miles down the line, the water has left its mark. Over the decades, minerals from the water have precipitated out, coating the sides of the channel with a layer of sinter. It is a hard, calcium crust, like a second skin of stone. This sinter is rough to the touch. It is layered like the rings of a tree. Each layer represents a year of flow, a year of rain, a year of drought, a year of peace. The water flows over this history, smoothing it down, adding to it bit by tiny bit. We move past the brickworks. The red glow fades behind us. The smell of wood smoke lingers for a moment, then is replaced by the smell of damp grass. The aqueduct is entering a forest now. These are not the wild woods of the hills, but a planted forest of stone pines, the Pinus pinea. They are the iconic trees of Rome, with their tall, bare trunks and high, spreading canopies that look like umbrellas. Entering the forest feels like entering a cathedral. The columns of the trees rise up on all sides, mirroring the columns of the aqueduct. The canopy overhead blocks out the stars. It is very dark here. The darkness is soft and fragrant. The air smells intensely of pine resin and needles. The ground below is covered in a thick carpet of fallen needles. It is soft and spongy. If you were to walk there, your footsteps would make no sound. The silence here is muffled. It is cushioned. The wind moves through the tops of the pines. It makes a very specific sound. It is not a whistle, it is a rush. S-H-H-H-H-H-H-H. It sounds like the ocean far away. It is a white noise that rises and falls with the breeze. A badger is foraging at the base of one of the aqueduct's pillars. It is a heavy, slow creature. It shuffles through the pine needles, sniffing with its long snout. Sniff, sniff, it finds a grub. It eats. It moves on. It is not in a hurry. The night belongs to it. The aqueduct is lower here, running just above the forest floor. The water is flowing through the trees. It is a strange thought, a river contained in stone floating through a forest. We come to a section where a repair is taking place. Even in the middle of the night, the maintenance of the empire must continue. But this is not a frantic emergency repair. It is a slow, methodical task. 3 men are working by the light of a single torch stuck into the ground. The torch flame flickers, casting jumping shadows against the trees. The light is yellow and greasy. The men are fixing a crack in the outer wall of the aqueduct. One man is mixing mortar in a wooden bucket. He stirs it with a trowel. Slosh, scrape, slosh. The mortar is thick and gray. Another man is applying the mortar to the stone. He moves his hand in a rhythmic, sweeping motion. Slap, smooth, slap, smooth. He is sealing the crack. He is focused. He does not speak. The third man is holding a rag, wiping away the excess. He leans back to inspect the work. He nods. They are tired. Their movements are heavy. They are working in a dreamlike state, halfway between waking and sleeping. The scene is like a painting. The dark forest, the yellow torchlight, the 3 figures huddled against the massive stone wall. It is a scene of quiet dedication. They are the caretakers of the flow. We drift past them. The light of their torch fades. We are back in the total darkness of the pine grove. The channel makes a slight turn to avoid a particularly large, ancient tree. The Romans respected this tree. They bent the straight line of the aqueduct just a few degrees to save it. The water follows the bend. It banks gently. It rights itself. It continues. High in the branches of the ancient pine, a dormouse is asleep. It is curled into a perfect ball, its tail wrapped around its nose. It is hibernating, or perhaps just sleeping deeply. It is warm and safe. The world below it does not exist. The water flowing beside it is just a vibration in the wood. We emerge from the forest. The sky opens up again. The stars return, sharp and cold. The Milky Way has rotated slightly across the dome of the sky. Time is passing, but it is passing slowly. We are approaching a small roadside shrine, a sacrum. It is dedicated to Mercury, the god of travelers. It stands at a crossroads where two dirt tracks meet. The shrine is a small rectangular building with a peaked roof. Inside, a small oil lamp has burned low. The oil is nearly gone. The flame is a tiny blue speck struggling to stay alive. It casts almost no light. On the altar, someone has left a small offering, a handful of wheat and a copper coin. A traveler is sleeping under the portico of the shrine. He is wrapped in a gray cloak. His staff lies beside him. He is deep in sleep, his chest rising and falling in a slow rhythm. He is miles from home, but tonight this stone floor is his bed. He is sheltered from the wind. He is safe. The aqueduct passes directly over the shrine. The water flows over the head of the sleeping traveler, over the offering of wheat, over the dying lamp. It is a bridge of water crossing a house of prayer. The terrain begins to change again. We are entering a region of limestone quarries. This is where the stone for the aqueduct came from. The land is scarred with deep cuts and rectangular pits. In the moonlight, the quarries look like a lunar landscape. Blocks of white stone, half cut, sit in the pits. They look like giant sugar cubes. Wooden cranes stand silent against the sky, their ropes hanging loose. It is a place of heavy stillness. The noise of the chisels and the hammers is gone. The dust has settled. The stone is resting. The aqueduct runs along the ridge of the quarry. It looks down into the pit where its own stones were born. It is the finished product looking at the raw material. The water inside the channel is oblivious to this. It only knows the smooth cement. It does not know it is crossing a graveyard of stone. Listen to the sound of the water again. It has changed slightly. The channel here is wider, allowing the water to spread out. The depth decreases. The sound becomes a lighter, higher-pitched ripple. Trickle, rush, trickle. It creates a soothing, washing sound, like a gentle rain falling on a lake. We pass a milestone marker, XV miles, 15 miles to the city. We are making progress, but the city is still just a concept. It is not yet real. Only the journey is real. A light fog begins to form in the quarry pits. It is a cold, ground mist. It swirls around the base of the cranes. It looks like steam, but it is cold. It softens the hard edges of the cut stone. On the maintenance path, a small creature hops across. A toad. It moves with a clumsy, heavy hop. Thump, pause, thump. It stops to look at the massive wall of the aqueduct. The toad is damp and cool. It belongs to the night. It crawls into a small hole near the foundation of a pillar. It settles into the mud. It closes its gold-flecked eyes. We are floating above it all. We are weightless. The gravity that pulls the water also pulls us, gently, inevitably, towards the horizon. The moon is beginning to lower in the west. The shadows of the aqueduct are stretching longer and longer. They reach out across the quarry, touching the far walls. The shadows are black and absolute. In the silence, you can almost hear the earth turning, a low, vibrational hum of the planet itself. The aqueduct is anchored to this turning earth. It spins with it through the dark of space. We reach a section where the aqueduct crosses a small stream on a single, low arch. The stream below is nearly dry. It is just a trickle of water over mud. The aqueduct is the superior river. It carries the volume. It carries the power. But the little stream is free. It meanders. The aqueduct is bound. It is a prisoner of its own engineering. There is a sense of companionship between the two waters. The free water below, the captured water above. They cross paths in the night, silent siblings. A bat flutters by. Its wings make a soft, leathery sound. Flap, flap, flap. It flies erratically, hunting for moths. It dives near the water of the stream, then swoops up towards the aqueduct. It uses the stone wall to navigate. It is a master of the dark. We follow the water as it enters a long, straight section. The Romans loved straight lines. They imposed their will on the chaotic landscape. This section runs for 2 miles without a single turn. It is a hypnotic tunnel of vision. If you were standing inside the channel, looking ahead, you would see nothing but the convergence of the walls into a single point of blackness. The water moves down this corridor. It does not bore, it does not tire, it is water, it simply is. The air is at its coldest now. Frost is beginning to form on the grass tips, delicate, white crystals growing in the dark. They will vanish with the first touch of the sun. But for now, they are sharp and beautiful. The stones of the aqueduct are cold. If you leaned your forehead against them, it would feel soothing. A cold compress for a tired mind. The world is asleep. The emperor is asleep in his palace. The soldiers are asleep in their forts. The merchants are asleep in their beds. Only the water is awake, and the stars, and the slow, silent rotation of the night. We drift on further into the quiet. There is no need to hurry. The night is long. We have left the forests and the quarries behind. The landscape opens up completely now. We are entering the vast, flat expanse that surrounds the great city. This is the Campagna. It is a sea of grass and darkness, stretching out in every direction. The aqueduct here changes its posture. It does not need to climb hills or bridge gorges. It settles into a long, rhythmic stride. The arches are uniform. They are of medium height, perhaps 20 feet tall. They stretch out into the distance like a line of infinite doorways. Arch, arch, arch. The repetition is absolute. In the dim light of the setting moon, the arches look identical. If you were walking beside them, you would feel as if you were standing still, because the view never changes. It is a loop of stone and shadow. The ground here is covered in a low mist. It is a white blanket that hovers knee-high. The base of the aqueduct pillars disappears into this mist. It looks as if the entire structure is floating on a cloud. It is weightless. It is unanchored. The water flows above the mist. It is clear and cold. We are moving at a steady pace. The incline here is very slight, calculated to perfection by engineers who are long dead. They wanted the water to arrive gently, not with force. They wanted a calm arrival. To our right, running parallel to the aqueduct, is a major road leading to the city. But this is not just a road for the living. It is a road for the dead. In Roman custom, the tombs are placed outside the city walls, lining the great highways. We are drifting past a necropolis. It is a city of silence. The tombs are small buildings made of marble and travertine. Some look like little temples with columns. Some are simple square blocks. Some are round towers. They are glowing faintly in the moonlight. The white stone reflects the weak light of the stars. They are beautiful and still. There is no sadness here, only a deep, abiding peace. The people inside these tombs have finished their work. They are resting just as you are resting. The aqueduct passes quietly by them. It is respectful. It does not disturb the sleepers. On top of one of the tombs, a stone statue of a man reclines. He is carved as if he is at a banquet holding a cup. He looks out at the road, watching the empty night. He has watched 10,000 nights like this. He does not blink. He does not tire. The dew settles on his stone face, looking like tears, but he is not crying. He is just cold stone. A cypress tree stands next to the tomb. Its dark shape points like a finger to the sky. It is motionless. There is no wind here on the plain. The air is stagnant and heavy. The water slides past. It carries the coolness of the mountains to the edge of the city. We hear a sound, a soft thump-thump. A hare is bounding across the fields. It stops near a milestone. Its long ears swivel, listening for danger. It hears nothing but the water. It relaxes. It begins to nibble on a patch of clover. Nibble, nibble, the sound is tiny. It is swallowed by the vastness of the plain. The channel of the aqueduct is lined here with opus signinum, a special waterproof cement made with crushed terracotta tiles. It has a reddish tint. Under the water, it looks like smooth, red clay. It is soft to the touch of the water, frictionless. We are drifting towards a large junction box. Here, a secondary line branches off to feed a large suburban villa. We can see the diversion. A bronze gate, currently half open, splits the flow. A portion of the water swirls to the left, entering a smaller channel. Let us follow the main flow. We stay with the majority of the water. We are not diverted. We stay on the main path. The villa is visible in the distance. It is a massive estate. We can see the outline of a colonnade, a row of columns surrounding a garden. The garden is dark. The fountains are turned off for the night to save pressure. The statues in the garden are alone. A guard dog is sleeping by the gate of the villa. It is a large Molossian mastiff, heavy and muscular. It lies on its side, its legs twitching as it chases phantoms in its dreams. It lets out a soft woof, a dream bark. It does not wake. The night is too deep. The aqueduct continues. It crosses a small drainage ditch on a culvert. The ditch is full of reeds. The reeds are tall and dry. They stand perfectly straight. The moon is very low now. It is touching the horizon. It is a dark orange slice sinking into the earth. As it disappears, the world becomes darker. The shadows lengthen until they consume everything. Now there is only starlight. The stars seem brighter now that the moon is gone. They are hard, diamond points in the black sky. Orion is there, the hunter, leaning on his side. He is slowly cartwheeling across the heavens. His belt of 3 stars is perfectly aligned. The water mirrors the stars. If you look down into the open inspection shaft we are passing, you can see the reflection of the constellation, a duplicate Orion shimmering on the surface of the black water. We are floating over the stars. The air temperature drops to its lowest point. This is the hour before dawn, the coldest hour. The dew is freezing. The grass is stiff with frost. The stone of the aqueduct contracts tight. It is holding its breath. Inside the channel, the water retains a memory of warmth. It is warmer than the air. A faint vapor rises from the surface of the water, trapped under the stone roof. It creates a humid microclimate inside the tunnel, a secret tropical atmosphere in the freezing night. We pass a section where the arches are double height. The ground dips into a bowl-like depression. To keep the line level, the Romans built a second layer of arches on top of the first. It is a wall of windows. Through the lower arches, we can see a flock of sleeping geese. They belong to a nearby farm. They are huddled together in a white mass on the ground. Geese are the watchdogs of Rome, but tonight, even they are silent. Their heads are tucked under their wings. They are warm clouds of feathers. The silence is thick. It fills your ears like cotton. It is not an empty silence. It is a heavy physical presence. It presses down on the eyelids. It says, sleep. The water says, flow. The two commands are the same. To sleep is to flow. To flow is to sleep. We are moving at the speed of a slow walk. Imagine walking this path. Your feet are tired. The grass is soft. You are walking towards a place of rest. But you don't need to arrive yet. The walking itself is the rest. To the left, a small owl glides by. It makes no sound. Its wings are designed for silence. It lands on the keystone of an arch. It rotates its head. It looks at the dark fields. It is the sentinel of the aqueduct. It watches us pass. It does not care. We are just water. We are approaching a maintenance shed built directly onto the side of the aqueduct. It is a small linta structure. The door is closed. Inside, tools are hanging on the wall. Pickaxes, shovels, large bronze keys for the water gates. They are hanging in the dark, waiting for hands that will not come for hours. The wood of the shed is old and gray. It smells of dry rot and dust. A spider has woven a web across the door handle. No one has entered here tonight. The water moves past the shed. It does not stop for tools. It does not need repair. It is functioning perfectly. The land is so flat here that we can see the faint glow of the city on the horizon. It is brighter now than it was before. It is an amber dome of light against the sky. Rome, the eternal city. It is sleeping, but it never fully goes dark. There are always torches, always fires. But we are still miles away. We are in the buffer zone, the quiet zone. The aqueduct crosses a small country lane. A milestone reads X miles, 10 miles. We have traveled far. On the side of the road, a cart is parked. It is loaded with hay. The hay smells sweet and grassy. The smell rises up to the aqueduct. It is the smell of summer trapped in dry grass. A cat is sleeping on top of the hay cart. It is curled in a nest of dry grass. It is the most comfortable creature in the world right now. It is warm, soft, and safe. It purrs, a low, rumbling vibration. Purr, purr, purr. The vibration of the cat seems to harmonize with the vibration of the water. Everything is humming at a low frequency. The earth, the water, the cat. We drift on. The hay cart falls behind. The road falls behind. We are alone with the stone again. The blocks of the aqueduct are massive here. Travertine limestone, pitted and rough. They look like the skin of an elephant, gray and wrinkled. They are strong. They do not shake. Feel the stability. You can lean your weight against this idea. The structure will not collapse. It has held for 500 years. It will hold for you tonight. The water rounds a very gentle curve. The channel widens slightly. The flow slows down. We are entering a long, straight section that leads towards the dawn. But the dawn is not here yet. It is still deep, dark night. There is nothing to see but the rhythm of the arches. Darkness. Stone, darkness, stone. It is a visual chant, a mantra of architecture. Your eyes are heavy. The visual details are blurring. The arches are merging into one long wall. The water is merging into one long sound. As they change. The sound of the water against the walls. The sound of the wind in the grass. The sound of silence. We are floating, drifting, carried by the gentle, insistent tug of gravity, heading home, but not yet there, just flowing. The journey continues. We have left the open necropolis behind. The landscape is changing again, becoming more structured, more inhabited, though still deeply asleep. We are entering the suburbium, the vast belt of market gardens and orchards that feed the city. Here the land is divided into neat squares and rectangles. Fences of woven willow branches separate the plots. The smell of the air changes. It no longer smells of wild grass and dry earth. It smells of damp soil, manure, cabbage, and herbs. It is a rich, organic smell. It is the smell of growth happening in the dark. The aqueduct is a massive presence here. It cuts straight through the gardens, a high wall of stone that divides the world into left and right. The arches are familiar friends now. We know their shape. We know their rhythm. Below us, the ground is a patchwork of vegetables. Rows of cabbages sit like dark green cannonballs in the mud. They are heavy and silent. The dew has collected on their broad, waxy leaves. If you were to touch one, it would be cold and wet. Next to the cabbages, there are rows of onions. Their green shoots stand straight up, pale in the starlight. They look like a miniature army of spears. But there is no war here. Only the slow, silent war of roots fighting for water in the soil. The water in the aqueduct flows above them all. It is the king of waters. The vegetables drink from the muddy irrigation ditches, but the water in the channel is pure. It is mountain water. It travels in its VIP lane, high above the mud. We are drifting past a small gardener's hut. It is a humble structure made of wattle and daub with a thatched roof. The roof is thick and shaggy. Moss grows on the north side of the thatch. Inside, the gardener is awake. It is very early, perhaps 3 in the morning. He is an old man who sleeps little. We can see a faint light through the cracks in the door. He is boiling a pot of water over a small fire. He is making a tea of herbs to warm his bones. He moves slowly. We can imagine his movements. He lifts the cup. He blows on the steam. He sips. He stares into the fire. He is not thinking about the emperor or the Senate. He is thinking about his turnips. He is thinking about the frost. His world is small and quiet. The aqueduct is part of his roof. The back wall of his hut is built right up against one of the stone pillars. He leans his back against the aqueduct. He feels the cold stone through his tunic. He hears the hum of the water. It is his clock. It tells him that time is passing, that the morning will come eventually. Outside, a small cart is parked next to the hut. It is loaded with wooden crates. The crates are empty now, waiting to be filled with produce for the morning market. The cart looks lonely. The donkey is nowhere to be seen. It is likely sleeping in a small linta nearby. We move on. The garden falls behind. We enter an orchard of apple trees. The trees are gnarled and twisted. Their branches interlock, creating a net against the sky. There are no leaves on the trees, for it is winter or late autumn. The branches are bare skeletons. But they are beautiful in their stillness. They are waiting for spring. They have patience. The water has patience too. It flows through the channel unhurried. It does not know the seasons. It only knows the slope. The structure of the aqueduct becomes more complex here. We are approaching a junction where another aqueduct joins our line. The Romans often stacked the channels on top of each other to save space. From the right, another line of arches approaches. It merges with our line. Now there are two channels. Ours is on the bottom. The new one is built on top of us. We are carrying the weight of another river. The structure is now twice as high. It is a skyscraper of water. The arches below are reinforced to take the extra weight. They are thick and squat. They look like the legs of a giant. Inside our channel, the sound changes slightly. We can hear a faint vibration from the channel above, a sympathetic resonance. The two waters are singing to each other, one harmony low and deep, one harmony slightly higher. A hum. It is a choir of liquid. We pass a large water tower, a castellum. This is a distribution point for the wealthy villas in this area. Pipes lead out from the side of the aqueduct, plunging down towards the ground. We can hear the water rushing into these pipes. Whoosh! It sounds like a deep breath being exhaled. The main flow continues, but a small part breaks away to fill a swimming pool or a fish pond in a rich man's garden. Let us imagine that fish pond for a moment. It is a rectangle of marble surrounded by statues. The water is black and still. Huge carp swim slowly in the depths. They are orange and white ghosts. They open their mouths. Bloop. A bubble rises to the surface. The ripples spread out and hit the marble sides. The villa itself is dark. It is a sprawling complex of buildings. We can see the silhouette of a peristyle, a colonnaded courtyard. The columns are white and slender. They look like bones in the moonlight. A peacock is roosting on the roof of the villa. It is asleep. Its long, magnificent tail is folded up, dragging on the tiles. It is a bird of royalty, but tonight it is just a shape in the dark. It shifts its feet. The tiles rattle slightly. Click-clack. The silence returns instantly. We are moving towards a paved road now. This is a bigger road than the ones before. This is the Via Appia, or perhaps the Via Latina. It is wide and straight. It is paved with large, smooth stones that shine under the stars. Even at this hour, there is some traffic on the great road. Roman law forbids heavy wagons in the city during the day, so the night is the time for transport. Below us, a line of ox carts is moving towards the city. They are moving very slowly. The oxen are huge white beasts with wide horns. Their heads bob up and down with every step. Bob, bob, bob. The wooden wheels of the carts are rimmed with iron. They make a grinding sound on the stones. Grind, rumble, grind. It is a low, monotonous noise. It is the sound of commerce. The drivers are walking beside the oxen. They are not speaking. They are wrapped in cloaks, heads down, half asleep. They hold goads, but they do not use them. The oxen know the way. They have walked this road 1,000 times. The aqueduct crosses over the road on a magnificent arch. It is decorated with stone wreaths and an inscription. We cannot read the inscription in the dark, but we know it praises the emperor who paid for this stone. The drivers do not look up. They are watching their feet. They are watching the stones of the road passing one by one. We float over them. We are faster than the oxen. We leave the grinding noise behind. We return to the silence of the fields. The air here feels denser. We are getting closer to humanity. There is a faint smell of wood smoke that hangs over the entire landscape. It is the breath of the city, exhaled from thousands of chimneys. But the city is still a few miles away. We are in the gap between the country and the town. To our left there is a large industrial complex. A fullery, perhaps, a place where wool is washed and processed. There are large vats in the yard. They are full of liquid. They smell of ammonia and stale urine, which was used for cleaning. It is not a pleasant smell, but it is a real smell. It is the smell of work. The yard is empty now. The workers are asleep in their barracks. The vats are still. The moon reflects in the dark liquid. A cat is walking along the rim of a vat. It is balancing carefully. It stops to sniff the air. It does not like the smell. It shakes its paw. It jumps down and runs into the shadows. The water in the aqueduct is sealed away from all of this. It smells only of wet stone and clean minerals. It is incorruptible. We pass a section where the maintenance path is overgrown with ivy. The vines hang down from the aqueduct like a green curtain. They brush against the stone pillars. Swish, swish. In the daylight, the ivy would be green and glossy. Now it is black. It looks like hair growing from the stone. It softens the hard lines of the architecture. We are approaching a series of small cisterns. These are overflow tanks. If the water level gets too high, the excess spills into these tanks and is used to flush the sewers. We can hear a trickle of water escaping into one of these tanks. Drip, 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 splash. It is a rhythmic, musical sound. It sounds like a clock ticking. Time is ticking away, but it is not running out. There is infinite time here. The Roman Empire feels eternal. The night feels eternal. You can rest in this eternity. You do not need to rush to the morning. The morning will wait. The sky in the east is still dark, but perhaps, if you look very closely, the black is turning to a very deep blue. A navy blue. It is the first, faintest hint that the sun exists somewhere on the other side of the world. But here it is still the domain of the stars. The Great Bear is rotating slowly around the North Star. The celestial mechanism is turning. We drift past a small shrine to Sylvanus, the god of the woods and fields. It is an old, weathered altar standing under a pine tree. A garland of dried flowers hangs around it. A small offering of fruit sits on the altar, an apple slightly shriveled. A mouse is sitting on the altar nibbling the apple. It freezes as we pass overhead. Its tiny heart beats fast. Thump, thump, thump. Then, seeing no danger from the stone river, it continues to eat. The water moves on. It is indifferent to the gods and the mice. It has a job to do. We are now entering a section where the aqueduct runs alongside a high wall. This is the boundary of a grand imperial estate. The wall is 12 feet high, topped with broken glass and spikes to keep out intruders. Inside the wall, we can see the tops of cypress trees and the roof of a large temple-like building. It is a private retreat for a high-ranking senator. The estate is silent, but there is a sense of power here. The grounds are manicured, the paths are swept. Even in sleep, the order is maintained. We are level with the top of the wall. We can see into the garden. There is a fountain in the center, a statue of Neptune holding a trident. The water to the fountain has been turned off for the night. Neptune stands dry and commanding in the dark. He is waiting for the water. We are carrying the water, but not for him. We are carrying it for the public fountains in the city. The aqueduct is democratic. It serves the crowd. The channel makes a sharp turn here to follow the property line. The water banks against the side. We feel the shift in momentum, a gentle push to the right. Then we straighten out again. We are traveling south now. The city is straight ahead. The glow is brighter. We can see the individual lights of watchtowers and large buildings. We can see the silhouette of the great hills of Rome. But there is still a distance to cross, a buffer of quiet. The ground below becomes marshy again. We are crossing a low point in the terrain. The arches soar high to keep the level. The mist is thick here. It swirls around the pillars. Frogs are calling from the marsh. Croak, croak, ribbit. It is a chorus of hundreds. They are singing to the night. It is a wet, guttural sound. It is the sound of nature interrupting the silence of the stone. The water in the aqueduct does not mix with the swamp water. It stays high and dry. It is aloof. A heron is standing in the marsh water. It is a statue of feathers. It stands on one leg. It is asleep. Its head is tucked back. It does not move as the frogs sing around it. It is perfectly balanced. Balance, that is the key. The aqueduct is balanced. The water is balanced. The night is balanced between yesterday and tomorrow. You are balanced too. You are safe in the middle of the journey. The air is cold and damp. It feels fresh. It feels clean. It is good air to breathe. Take a slow breath. Imagine the cool, mist-filled air entering your lungs. Exhale slowly. The water flows on. It is relentless. It is calm. We pass a milestone. V miles, 5 miles, we are close. The city is no longer a distant idea. It is a looming reality. But for now, we are still outside the gates. We are still in the peace of the approach. The rhythm of the arches continues. 1, 2, 3, 4. They step across the marsh like a giant centipede of stone. We drift along the top, carried by the current. The sound of the water is a steady white noise. It blocks out thoughts. It blocks out worries. There is only the sound. As they change. The water is heavy. It is real. It is moving. And we are moving with it, slowly, towards the dawn. The horizon is no longer flat. It is jagged. We have reached the true edge of the metropolis. The open fields are gone, replaced by a dense clutter of structures that hug the roads leading into Rome. Warehouses, workshops, temples, and tombs crowd together, fighting for space. But the aqueduct rises above it all. It is the aristocrat of architecture. It does not compete for space. It creates its own space. It flows over the roofs, over the walls, over the tangled streets of the outskirts. The sky is changing. It is subtle, almost imperceptible. The absolute black of the night is turning into a deep, heavy indigo. This is the astronomical twilight. The sun is still far below the horizon, but its presence is beginning to be felt by the upper atmosphere. The stars in the east are growing faint, retreating into the blue. We drift past a massive building, a horium, a grain warehouse. It is a fortress of food. Its walls are thick brick, windowless and imposing. Inside, in the dark, thousands of sacks of Egyptian wheat are stacked to the ceiling. They are waiting to be turned into bread for the million people of the city. The warehouse is silent. The doors are locked with heavy bronze bars, but there is a smell coming from it, a dry, dusty smell of grain and burlap. It is a smell of abundance and storage. A guard walks the perimeter of the warehouse. He carries a lantern. The light swings back and forth with his steps. Swing, shadow, swing, shadow. The light brushes against the rough brick walls, revealing the texture for a split second before plunging it back into darkness. We float past him, high above his lantern. We are unseen observers. The sound of the city is becoming audible. It is not a roar. It is a low, continuous hum. It is the sound of heavy wagons moving on stone. By imperial decree, heavy transport is only allowed within the city limits at night. So, while the people sleep, the supplies move. Below us, a line of carts is queuing at a customs gate. They are carrying timber, olive oil, and wine. The drivers are leaning against their wheels, waiting for the tax collector to check their loads. They do not shout. They speak in low murmurs. Their voices drift up to us as a soft, unintelligible mumble. The aqueduct crosses over the queue. The water does not stop for customs. It pays no tax. It belongs to the emperor and the people. It flows freely into the heart of the empire. We are entering a section where the aqueduct becomes part of the city wall itself. The Aurelian walls are still in the future, but there are older boundaries here. The arches are filled in with brickwork in some places, turning the arcade into a solid barrier. We are moving along the top of this barrier. To our left is the outside world. To our right is the beginning of the urban sprawl. We see the first insulae, the apartment blocks. They are tall, rickety buildings, rising 5 or 6 stories into the air. They look like hives. The windows are dark squares. Most have no glass, just wooden shutters closed tight against the night air. Inside these blocks, thousands of people are sleeping. They are packed together, family upon family. We can imagine the sound of their breathing, a collective respiration. The city is a living organism, and it is currently in its slow cycle of rest. On the third floor of one building, a shutter is loose. It bangs softly against the wall in the breeze. Thud, thud, thud. It is a lonely, repetitive sound. A faint light appears in a window on the ground floor. We are passing a bakery, a pistrinum. The baker is the first to rise. The city needs bread. We can look down into the small courtyard of the bakery. A donkey is blindfolded, harnessed to a millstone. It walks in a circle. Step, 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 the stone grinds against stone. Grind, crush, grind, the sound is muffled, heavy, and rhythmic. The baker is there, his arms covered in flour. He is kneading a massive mound of dough on a wooden table. He pushes the heel of his hand into the dough, folds it, and pushes again. Push, fold, push. His movement is hypnotic. It is muscle memory. He does not need to think, he just works the dough. The smell of yeast and wood smoke rises up from the bakery chimney. It is a warm, comforting smell. It smells of sustenance. It smells of home. The water flows past the bakery. It carries the ingredient the baker needs. Without the water, there is no bread. The aqueduct feeds the mill. We continue our glide. The indigo of the sky is lightening slightly. The shapes of the buildings are becoming sharper. We can see the details of the roof tiles now. Some are broken. Some are covered in moss. A cat is sitting on a rooftop, silhouetted against the paling sky. It is watching a pigeon that is tucking its head into its feathers on a ledge. The cat tenses, then relaxes. It is too cold to hunt. It curls up instead, wrapping itself in its own warmth. We approach a major junction. This is where the Aqua Claudia and the Annio Novus meet the city gate. The architecture here is monumental. The arches are made of huge, rusticated blocks of travertine. They look rough and unfinished, a deliberate style to show strength. The structure towers over the road. It is a triumphal arch of water. We are flowing through the attic of this arch. The channel is wide here. The water spreads out, slowing down. It is gathering its composure before the final distribution. Below us, two roads merge. A fountain stands at the intersection. It is a large basalt basin. A stream of water falls from a lion's mouth into the basin. Splash, splash. A beggar is sleeping near the fountain. He is wrapped in layers of rags. He has curled himself around the base of the basin to steal a bit of warmth from the stone, which holds the temperature of the water. He is fast asleep. The sound of the falling water is the soundtrack of his dreams. The city is waking up, but very slowly. A street sweeper is starting his work. He has a broom made of birch twigs. He sweeps the dust of the road into small piles. Swish, swish, swish. The sound is dry and scratchy. He moves methodically down the street. He is cleaning the path for the coming day. We pass a bathhouse, a therme. It is closed to the public now, but the furnaces are being stoked. We can see the black smoke rising from the rear of the building. The slaves are feeding the hypocaust, the underfloor heating system. They are shoveling charcoal, scrape, shovel, toss. Inside the great halls of the bathhouse, the water in the pools is perfectly still. The mosaic floors are empty. The statues of gods and athletes stand in the gloom, watching nothing. The steam is just beginning to rise from the hot pool, filling the room with a white mist. The aqueduct feeds this bathhouse. A large pipe diverts from our channel, plunging down into the darkness of the complex. We feel a slight pull as some of the water leaves us, embarking on a different journey to warm the citizens of Rome. But we stay with the main flow. We drift on. The density of the buildings increases. We are passing over narrow alleys now. They are like canyons of brick. Laundry hangs on lines strung between the buildings. Tunics and sheets hang limp in the still air. They look like ghosts of the people who wear them. The smell of the city is stronger here. It is a mix of wood smoke, cooking oil, drains, and damp stone. It is not unpleasant. It is human. It is the scent of 1,000,000 lives lived in close proximity. We are drifting towards a garden estate that has survived within the city walls. A hortus. It belongs to a wealthy family. It is a green island in the sea of brick. We float over high walls covered in jasmine. Inside, there are orderly rows of cypress trees and manicured hedges. A gravel path winds through the garden. On a stone bench, a cloak has been left behind, forgotten from the evening before. It sits there, a pool of dark fabric. A fountain in the center of the garden is trickling softly. The water in our channel seems to salute the water in the garden. They are kin. The sky is now a distinct blue-gray. The stars are almost gone. Only the morning star remains hanging tough in the east. It is brilliant and white. The birds are beginning to wake up. A sparrow chirps, just one, chirp, then silence. Then another answers, chirp. It is the first conversation of the morning. They are discussing the light. The water does not chirp. It hums. It is a bass note under the treble of the birds. We pass a temple, the temple of Minerva Medica. It is a domed building, though the dome is partly ruined in our timeline, or perhaps under construction. Let us imagine it whole. The tiles of the dome are beginning to catch the first gray light. A priest is opening the bronze doors of the temple. The hinges creak, kriak, a heavy metal sound. He steps out onto the portico. He looks at the sky. He adjusts his toga. He is preparing for the morning sacrifice, but not yet. Now is the time for silence. The aqueduct runs right behind the temple. We are level with the dome. We are high above the street. We can see a wagon carrying huge blocks of marble. It is stalled in the street below. A wheel is stuck in a rut. The driver is whispering to his oxen, urging them gently. He does not want to wake the neighborhood. The oxen strain. The harness creaks. The wagon lurches forward. Clatter. It is free. The driver sighs. We move on. The texture of the channel walls is smooth here. The Romans lined the city sections with the finest cement. There is no friction. We glide effortlessly. We are approaching a castellum divisorium, a major dividing tank. This is a crucial point. Here, the water is sorted. Some goes to the imperial palace. Some goes to the public fountains. Some goes to private homes. The building is hexagonal. It is made of brick. We flow inside. The space is cavernous. The roof is vaulted. The sound of the water changes instantly. Outside it was a hum. Inside it is an echo. Rush, whoosh, echo. The water enters a large calming basin. It swirls around, dark and glossy. In the center there are bronze grates. The water flows through them, divided into different channels. We are going to follow the channel that leads to the public fountains, the water of the people. We slide over the lip of the weir and drop slightly into a narrower tunnel. The current picks up speed. We are moving faster now. We are rushing towards the neighborhoods. The tunnel is dark, but occasionally a shaft of gray light pierces through a ventilation hole. These shafts of light look like solid pillars standing in the water. We pass through them. Light, dark, light, dark. It is a strobe effect, but very slow. We emerge from the distribution tank back into the open air, but now we are on a lower arcade. We are closer to the roofs. We can see the chimney pots. We can see the pigeons waking up, fluffing their feathers, cooing softly. Coo, coo, roo. A woman opens a shutter on a third-floor apartment. She leans out. She is wrapped in a shawl. She looks down at the street. She looks up at the aqueduct. She takes a deep breath of the morning air. She rubs her face with her hands. She disappears back inside. The city is stirring. The giant is waking up. But it is not awake yet. It is in that fuzzy, soft state between dreams and duty. The water is the thread that connects it all. It flows past the sleeping, past the waking, past the stone and the brick. We are gliding over a market square. The stalls are empty wooden frames. A few vendors are setting up. They are unpacking crates of vegetables, cabbages, carrots, leeks. The colors are muted in the gray light. A dog trots across the square. It stops to sniff a crate. It lifts its leg. It trots on. The scene is mundane. It is ordinary. It is boring. And it is beautiful because it is life continuing. The water flows over the square. It crosses the market without stopping to buy anything. It has only one purpose: to arrive. The air is slightly warmer here in the city. The heat of the buildings, stored up from the previous day, radiates out. It is a cozy warmth. It counteracts the chill of the dawn. We drift along. The rhythm of the arches is tighter here. Shorter spans, quicker beats. Arch, 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 arch. It feels like a pulse, the pulse of Rome. The sky is turning a pale, soft blue. The gray is lifting. The shadows are retreating to the corners of the buildings. The day is inevitable now. But we have a little more time, a little more silence. We drift towards a large public fountain at the end of the street. This is our destination for this stream. But the water doesn't know it's the end. To the water, it is just another drop. We are still in the channel. We are still holding back. We are still flowing. The sky has shifted into a monochrome of soft slate blue. It is that suspended moment between the night and the true morning. The stars have dissolved, leaving the moon as a faint, transparent ghost in the west. The air is still, but it has lost the sharp bite of the deep night. It is now a cool, waiting presence. We are still high up, but the aqueduct is changing. We have reached the terminal castellum, the great reservoir that sits on the high ground of the city. Here, the journey of the open channel ends. The water must now descend. It must leave the wide, easy path of the stone canal and enter the complex hidden veins of the city. The water slows as it enters the final settling tank. It is a large, vaulted chamber, dark and echoing. Plash, echo, plash, echo. The water swirls, heavy and black. It is taking a moment to breathe before it is squeezed into the pipes. At the bottom of the tank, there are bronze screens. They are fine meshes designed to catch any last leaves or twigs that might have fallen in miles away in the countryside. The water pushes through the mesh. It is filtered. It is clean. Now gravity takes over in a new way. The water enters the vertical shafts. These are the fistulae, the great lead pipes of Rome. Imagine the transition. The water leaves the spacious stone tunnel and is funneled into a round metal tube. The pressure builds. The speed increases. We go with the water. We slide into the pipe. It is pitch black inside. There is no air here, only water. The sound changes completely. It is no longer a gentle lapping. It is a deep, resonant vibration. Vrum. It is the sound of contained power. The interior of the pipe is smooth. The lead was rolled around a wooden core by Roman plumbers, then soldered shut. If you could see the inside, you would see the seam running along the top, a straight line of metal scarring. The water rushes past it. We are dropping down towards the street level. The pipe bends. The water follows the curve, banking hard against the metal wall. We feel the squeeze. We feel the direction. We emerge from the vertical drop into a horizontal main line, running under the pavement of a street. We are now beneath the feet of the waking city. Above us, the flagstones of the street are cool and gray. A pair of sandals walks over us. Clack, clack. A heavy, wooden-soled shoe, a worker. He does not know we are rushing beneath him. He does not feel the vibration. We travel through the pipe for 100 yards. Then a branch. A smaller pipe splits off to the right. We follow it. This pipe leads to a public fountain, a lacus on a street corner. The pipe rises up inside the stone structure of the fountain. The water is pushed up by the pressure of the water behind it. Up, up, up. We burst out into the air. A splash. We are in the open again. The light is blue and dim. We are flowing out of a bronze spout shaped like the head of a wolf. The water pours from the wolf's mouth in a steady, clear arc. It hits the surface of the stone basin below. Gurgle, splash, ripple. The basin is rectangular, made of worn travertine. The rim is smoothed by the hands of thousands of people who have leaned here to drink or to fill their jars. The stone is soft to the touch, polished by skin and time. The basin is overflowing. It is designed to overflow. The excess water spills over the edge and runs into a drain in the street. It washes the pavement. It cleans the dust. A woman is standing at the fountain. She has a large terracotta jug and amphora balanced on her hip. She is young, but her eyes are tired. She wears a simple tunic of undyed wool. She lowers the jug into the basin. Glug, glug, glug. The air bubbles escape from the jug as the water rushes in. It is a satisfying sound, a sound of filling, a sound of plenty. She lifts the jug. It is heavy now. Water drips from the bottom, making dark spots on the gray stones of the street. Drip, drip, drip. She heaves it onto her shoulder. She adjusts her balance. She walks away, her footsteps fading into the morning mist. The fountain continues to run. It does not care that she has gone. It runs for the empty street. We leave the fountain and follow the overflow water. It runs along the gutter. It meets a stream of water coming from a street cleaning crew. Two men are washing the steps of a temple nearby. They are using buckets of water and stiff brooms. Swishy scrub, swish scrub. They are working rhythmically. They are not talking. The only sound is the bristles against the stone and the slosh of the water. The water carries the dust of yesterday away. It flows into a grate, dropping down into the darkness of the sewer, the cloaca. But we do not go there. We stay in the light. We pull back to the fresh water. We return to the main aqueduct line, back before the distribution tank. We want to see where else the water goes. We follow a different channel this time. This one stays high. It is carried on top of a wall, crossing a busy intersection. Below, a bakery is fully awake now. The smell of baking bread is intense. It fills the street. It is a warm, yeasty, golden smell. It rises up to meet the cool smell of the water. The baker is pulling loaves from the oven with a long wooden peel. Slide, tap, slide. The loaves are round and brown, scored into 8 sections like a wheel. He stacks them on a wooden shelf. The steam rises from the bread, joining the morning mist. A boy stands at the counter buying a loaf. He hands over a small copper coin. The baker nods. The transaction is silent. It is too early for conversation. The water flows on. It passes the window of a scholar. He is awake, sitting at a desk. A single oil lamp burns beside him. He is reading a scroll. He runs his finger under the lines of text. He pauses. He looks out the window at the aqueduct. He sees the massive arches against the blue sky. He thinks about the engineering. He thinks about the slope. He thinks about the permanence of stone. Then he looks back at his scroll. The water helps him think. The sound of the flow is a white noise that clears his mind. We drift further into the city. The buildings are taller here. The streets are narrower. We are in the suburbia, the crowded, noisy heart of the residential district. But at this hour, even the suburbia is relatively quiet. There is a lull. The drunks have gone home, and the merchants have not yet opened their shops. It is the hour of the cats. There are cats everywhere, sitting on walls, sitting on roofs, sitting on the aqueduct itself. One cat, a ginger tabby, walks along the edge of the water channel. It is fearless. It looks down at the water. It sees its own reflection, a dark shadow in the moving liquid. It bats a paw at the water. Splash. It shakes its paw, annoyed by the wetness. It continues its patrol. We are approaching a nymphaeum, a monumental public fountain. This is not a simple basin like the one before. This is a grand structure, a facade of marble columns and niches with statues. The water arrives here with ceremony. It is split into dozens of pipes. It cascades down a series of steps. Rush, tumble, fall. It creates a waterfall in the city. The sound is loud here. It drowns out the street noise. It sounds like a mountain river. The statues in the niches are wet with spray. A statue of Venus stands in the center. Drops of water cling to her marble face. They slide down her cheek like tears of joy. She is perpetually bathing. A pigeon lands on the head of Venus. It fluffs its feathers. It takes a drink from a small pool of water that has collected in the fold of her marble robe. It is a moment of peaceful coexistence between the art and the animal. The sky is getting lighter. The blue is turning to a pale, washed-out gray. The details of the city are becoming sharp. We can see the cracks in the plaster of the walls. We can see the graffiti scratched into the brickwork. Gaius was here. I love Julia. Vote for Marcus. The voices of the past are silent, but their words are still there. The water flows past them all. It does not read. It does not vote. It flows. We follow a side channel that leads to a private bathhouse. This is a small balneum for a wealthy neighborhood. The water enters a heating tank made of bronze. A fire is burning underneath the tank. The wood crackles softly. Pop, hiss. The water begins to warm. Convection currents swirl inside the tank. The cold water sinks, the hot water rises. It is a slow, boiling dance. Steam begins to form. It travels through pipes into the caldarium, the hot room. The room fills with a dense, white fog. The benches are marble. They are warm. The floor is warm. Imagine sitting there, in the steam, in the warmth. The silence is thick. You cannot see the walls. You are wrapped in a cloud. Your muscles relax. Your breathing slows down. Inhale damp heat. Exhale tension. The water is serving you. It has traveled 30 miles to be here, to turn into steam, to relax your shoulders. Outside the bathhouse, the street is getting busier. A cart carrying vegetables rattles by. The driver whistles a low, tuneless melody. Do-do-do. A shutter opens across the street. A rug is shaken out. Whap, whap, whap. Dust motes dance in the air. We return to the high channel, the main line. We are nearing the end of the aqueduct's run. It has distributed water to the north, the east, the center. Now it heads towards the river. The Tiber, the great sluggish brown god of Rome. The aqueduct does not mix with the Tiber yet. It runs parallel to the riverbank for a while. We can see the river below. It is wide and slow. It reflects the gray sky. A barge is drifting downstream, guided by a man with a long pole. He pushes against the river bottom. Thud, push, lift. The water in our channel is clear. The water in the river is muddy. They are two different moods of water. One is wild and heavy. One is captured and pure. We pass a temple to Portunus, the god of harbors. It stands near the river. It is a small, rectangular temple. The columns are Ionic. They are graceful and slender. A dog is sleeping on the steps of the temple. It is a stray, scruffy, and thin. It lies in a patch of morning light that has just touched the stone steps. It twitches its ear. It is dreaming of a bone. The light is changing again. The sun is about to breach the horizon. The top of the Capitoline Hill is suddenly struck by a beam of golden light. It glows. The temple of Jupiter on the summit shines like a beacon. But down here in the streets, it is still blue and shadowed. The water moves into a section where the channel is open to the air for a brief stretch. A small bridge crosses over the channel. A man is standing on the bridge, looking down at the water. He is calm. He drops a small leaf into the water. He watches it float away. The leaf spins slowly. It travels at the speed of the current. He watches it until it disappears into the tunnel. He sighs. He walks away. We follow the leaf. It is our boat. We drift with it, into the tunnel, into the dark. The sound of the water echoes in the tunnel. Lap, lap, lap. It is a comforting, enclosed sound, like being in a womb of stone. We are safe here. The city cannot touch us. The noise cannot reach us. We are just flowing. The texture of the water is silky. It slides over the cement. There is no resistance. We are approaching the final distribution point, the castellum near the river. Here, the remaining water will be sent to the industrial districts, to the dye works, to the tanneries. But we will not go there yet. We will stay in the quiet section before the industry. We pause in a small settling tank. The water is deep here. It is still. The leaf floats on the surface. It stops spinning. It rests. You can rest too. The journey has been long, but it is not over. It is never really over. The water cycle is a circle, but for now we are in the pause. The tank is cool. The walls are damp. A small fern grows from a crack in the ceiling, reaching down towards the water. It is a touch of green in the gray dark. Listen to the drip of condensation. Drip, pause, drip, pause, drip. It is the slowest clock in the world. It measures time in seconds, but it feels like hours. The city outside is fully awake now. The hum has turned into a rumble, but in here it is silent. In here there is only the water, waiting, resting, being. We hold this moment, we extend it, we refuse to rush. The leaf stays still, the water stays still, the mind stays still. The sun has officially claimed the city. It is no longer a promise on the horizon. It is a physical weight of gold falling upon the roofs of Rome. The light hits the tops of the 7 hills first, igniting the temples of Jupiter and Juno, before pouring slowly down the slopes like honey, filling the valleys and the streets with warmth. We are still in the final distribution tank near the river, the one where we watched the leaf floating. The shaft of light that enters through the ventilation grate has changed angle. It is now a solid beam of yellow dust. It strikes the water surface. The water sparkles. It wakes up from its dark sleep. The surface tension holds the light, shivering slightly with the vibrations of the waking city. The leaf we were watching drifts into the shadow, then back into the light. It is a slow, aimless dance. But the water has work to do. A sluice gate at the far end of the tank is being opened. We hear the grinding of a bronze gear. Clank, 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 a chain tightens. The heavy wooden gate lifts inch by inch. The water surges forward. It is not a violent surge. It is a release of pressure. We are pulled towards the opening. We slide under the gate, leaving the quiet tank behind. We are entering the world of the water mills. The aqueduct here is used to power the industry of the city. We flow down a steep, narrow chute. The speed increases. The water becomes white and frothy. It is aerated. It bubbles. Ahead we see a massive shape. It is a wheel. A vertical water wheel made of dark, waterlogged oak. It is huge, perhaps 20 feet tall. It is currently stationary, dripping water into the pool below. The stream hits the paddles of the wheel. Smack. The wheel resists for a second. It is heavy. It is old. Then slowly, with a deep groan of wood against wood, it begins to turn. Kriyak. It is a low, mournful sound, the sound of heavy timber waking up. The wheel rotates. One paddle dips, then another. The water pushes it. Gravity pulls it. Splash, turn, splash, turn. We are caught in the turbulence at the bottom of the wheel. We are tumbled around in the pool. It is a chaotic, bubbly environment, but it is a controlled chaos. The rhythm of the wheel dominates everything. Listen to the rhythm. It is the heartbeat of the morning. Thud, splash, creak. Thud, splash, creak. Inside the mill building, which we cannot see but can imagine, heavy stones are beginning to turn. They are grinding grain into flour. The power of the water, the power that traveled all those miles from the silent hills, is now being transferred into the stone. The energy of the mountain is becoming the bread of the city. We flow out of the mill pond. The water is calmer now. It has done its work. It travels along a brick-lined canal that runs behind a row of workshops. This is the district of the tanners and the dyers. The air here smells different. It smells of vinegar, of oak bark, of wet leather. It is a pungent, sharp smell, but in the fresh morning air, it is not overpowering. It is simply the scent of the trade. We pass a series of large clay vats sunk into the ground. They are filled with dyes. One is deep indigo blue. One is a rich, rusty red made from madder root. One is yellow made from saffron. The dyers are dipping cloth into the vats. They use long wooden poles. They move slowly, stirring the heavy fabric. Swish, swirl, lift. The cloth comes up dripping with color. The drops fall back into the vat. Plip, plip, plip. The water in our canal runs right beside them. It offers them fresh water for rinsing. A worker dips a bucket into our stream. He pours it over a length of red wool. The water runs pink for a moment, then clears. The sunlight is getting stronger. It warms the brick walls of the canal. Lizards come out to sun themselves on the warm bricks. They lie flat, soaking up the heat. They watch the water flow. They are the same lizards we saw in the country, just city cousins. They have the same patience. We drift under a small wooden bridge. Footsteps cross over us. Thump, thump. A dog barks in the distance. A rooster crows, late for the dawn, confused by the city noises. The canal widens. We are approaching the edge of the district. The buildings are thinning out. We can see the sky more clearly. It is a brilliant, hard blue. There are no clouds. It will be a hot day. But the water is cool. It remembers the underground tunnel. We are getting close to the river, the Tiber. The Tiber is the great artery of Rome. It is much larger than our Aqueduct stream. It is a wide, muscular body of water. It is brown with silt, carrying the soil of the Apennines to the sea. Our clear stream is about to join this great brown river. We flow towards the confluence. The bank is lined with reeds and tall grasses. They sway in the breeze coming off the river. SHHHSHHH. We slide over a final embankment, a small waterfall, tumble, drop, splash. We land in the river. The sensation changes instantly. We are no longer confined by walls of stone or lead. We are in the open. The current is strong here, but it is deep and wide. It pulls us gently but firmly towards the center of the stream. The clear water of the aqueduct mixes with the cloudy water of the Tiber. Swirls of clear and brown dance together. They spiral and twist. Eventually, they merge. We become part of the greater flow. We are now floating down the Tiber, passing through the heart of Rome. To our left, we see the Forum Boreum, the cattle market. It is busy. Cows are lowing. Moo-oh. Merchants are shouting. But from the middle of the river, the sound is distant. It is just a background texture. We pass the temple of Hercules Victor. It is round, surrounded by columns. It looks like a small, perfect crown sitting on the bank. The sunlight hits the marble columns, making them glow white against the dark buildings behind them. We drift under the Pons Aemilius, the first stone bridge of Rome. The arches of the bridge are massive. They cast deep, cool shadows on the water. We float into the shadow of the bridge. It is sudden and cool. The sunlight is cut off. The sound of the city is baffled by the stone vault above us. Look up at the underside of the bridge. The stones are covered in green moss and hanging weeds. Water drips from the mortar joints. Drip, drip. It echoes in the darkness under the arch. Then we emerge back into the sunlight. The warmth returns. A barge is anchored in the middle of the river. It is a flat-bottomed boat, piled high with amphorae of wine from the coast. The boat rocks gently in the current. Rock, pause, rock, pause. A sailor is sitting on the deck mending a net. He holds a wooden shuttle. He loops the twine, pulls it tight, loops again. His hands are rhythmic. He is not looking at the city. He is looking at his work. Small waves lap against the side of the barge. Slap, slap, slap. It is a lazy sound. The river is in no hurry. It is going to the sea, and the sea is not going anywhere. We drift past the Tiber island, the Insula Tiberina. It is shaped like a giant ship. There is a temple to Aesculapius, the god of healing, on the island. Sick people come here to sleep and dream of a cure. We can see figures in white robes walking slowly in the gardens of the temple. They are calm. They are seeking peace. The river flows around their island, washing away their pain, carrying it downstream. The water around the island is faster. It splits into two channels. We take the right channel. The current accelerates. We bob over some submerged rocks. Bump, swirl. Bubbles rise to the surface. A seagull floats past us. It is sitting on the water like a toy boat. It rides the current effortlessly. It looks at us with a bead-black eye. It dips its beak to drink, then shakes its head. It paddles its webbed feet below the surface. Pad, paddle. We are moving past the commercial docks now. The Emporium. This is where the marble, the grain, and the oil are unloaded. There are huge cranes, powered by treadmills. Men walk inside giant wooden wheels to lift the heavy nets. We see the wheels turning. They are far away on the bank. They look like toys. They turn slowly. The city is a machine of slow rotations. The smell of the river is earthy. It smells of mud and fish and wet wood. It is an ancient smell. The sun is higher now. It reflects off the water in a blinding white glare. If you look at the river, you have to squint. The light dances and shimmers. It is hypnotic. Flash, shimmer, flash, shimmer. Close your eyes. You can still see the shimmer behind your eyelids, a pulsing, golden light. The river bends. We are leaving the dense center of the city. The buildings on the banks are getting lower, more spaced out. We are heading towards the Ostia Road, towards the sea. But the sea is still miles away. We are just in the widening flow. The noise of the city begins to fade behind us. The roar of the market, the creak of the cranes, the shout of the drivers, it all blends into a soft, receding hum. We are left with the sound of the water, the big, heavy silence of a large river. There is a dead tree branch floating near us. It is bleached white by the sun and the water. It has traveled a long way. Maybe it fell from a tree in the mountains weeks ago. Now it is here, floating through Rome. It rotates slowly in an eddy. Spin, slow spin. A dragonfly lands on the branch. It is iridescent blue. It sits perfectly still for a moment, its wings shimmering. Then it darts away. Zip. We follow the branch. It is our companion. The banks of the river are becoming green again. We see willows weeping into the water. Their long branches trail in the current, creating V-shaped ripples. Ripple, ripple, ripple. The water is soothing the land. The land is holding the water. We pass a fisherman sitting on the bank. He has a long cane pole. He is sitting on a wooden stool. He is not moving. His line is in the water. The float is a small piece of cork. It bobs on the surface. He is not watching the cork. He is watching the river. He is lost in the flow. He is half asleep. The sun warms his back. His hat is pulled down over his eyes. He is the portrait of patience. He doesn't care if he catches a fish. He is just there to be by the river. We drift past his line. We do not disturb it. The river widens further. The current slows down. The water becomes heavy and lethargic. It is spreading out, relaxing. We are entering a long, straight stretch of the river. The long reach. The water here is like a sheet of glass, broken only by the occasional swirl of an undercurrent. The sky is a vast dome of blue. There are no clouds. There is only the sun, the sky, and the river. The repetition of the movement is absolute. Forward, always forward. No effort, no choice, just flow. The water molecules that were once in the dark aqueduct, then in the mill, then in the vat, are now here. They have changed roles, but they are the same water. They are resilient. They are eternal. You are like the water. You flow through the day, through the tasks, through the noise. And now you are flowing towards rest. The river carries you. You don't need to swim. You just need to float. A small boat is rowing upstream against the current. We see the oars dip, splash, you pull, lift. The rower is working hard, but we are moving downstream. We are taking the easy way, the natural way. We watch the rower recede into the distance. He becomes a small dot. Then he is gone. We are alone again. The banks are just green blurs now. The focus is entirely on the water, the patterns on the surface, the whirlpools, the streaks of foam. They form shapes that look like clouds, like faces, like maps. Then they dissolve, form, dissolve, form, dissolve. It is a visual lullaby. The warmth of the sun penetrates the top layer of the water. We feel it. It is a gentle, wrapping heat. It balances the cold of the depths. We are drifting towards a bend in the river. We cannot see what is around the corner. It doesn't matter. It will be more river, more water, more flow. The anticipation is low. The anxiety is zero. The river is a heavy blanket that covers the earth. It moves with the rotation of the planet. We are part of the planet. We are turning with it slowly, silently, peacefully. The river has become a giant. It is no longer just a channel of water. It is a moving landscape. The banks on either side are far away now, mere lines of green and brown sketching the edge of the world. We are in the middle of the Tigris, floating towards the great opening. The sun has passed its zenith. It is beginning its long, slow descent into the afternoon. The light is turning gold again, a heavy, rich gold that sits on the surface of the water like oil. It weighs the water down. It smooths out the ripples. We are drifting towards Ostia, the mouth of the river, the gateway to the sea. The air has changed completely. The smell of the earth and the city is gone. It has been replaced by the scent of salt. It is a sharp, clean smell. It clears the lungs. It is the smell of vastness. Gulls are circling overhead. They are white specks against the blue sky. They do not cry out. They just glide on the thermal currents. They are watching the water just as we are. To our right, we see the marshes of the delta, the campus salinarum, the salt fields. These are shallow, rectangular pools cut into the land. They are filled with sea water that has been let in and left to stand. The water in the pans is still. It is evaporating under the sun. As it vanishes, it leaves behind white crystals of salt. We can see the piles of salt glistening on the banks. They look like small mountains of snow in the summer heat. Workers are raking the salt. Scrape, scrape, pause. They move with the slowness of the heat. They are silhouettes against the flat horizon. They are harvesting the ocean, grain by grain. We drift past a large merchant ship that is being towed upstream by oxen walking on the bank. The rope is taut. It dips into the water and rises again. Creak a drip, creak. The ship is heavy, laden with grain from Egypt or oil from Spain. It is sitting low in the water. We are moving in the opposite direction. We are light. We are empty. We are leaving the burden of the land behind. We pass the great lighthouse of Portus in the distance, the Pharos. It stands tall and gray, a man-made tower to guide the ships, but we do not need a guide. The current knows the way. The current has always known the way. The water around us is changing color. The brown silt of the river is meeting the blue clarity of the Tyrrhenian Sea. There is a line in the water where they meet, a mixing zone. We cross that line. The water becomes cooler. It becomes buoyant. We are lifted up by the density of the salt. It feels like taking a deep breath. We are floating higher, lighter. The river banks fall away completely. There is no more land on the left. There is no more land on the right. There is only the open water ahead. We have reached the sea. The motion changes. In the aqueduct it was a slide. In the river it was a flow. Now in the sea it is a rock, a gentle, rhythmic rocking. Lift and lower, lift and lower. It is the breathing of the planet. The tide is coming in and the river is pushing out. We are caught in the balance. The horizon is a perfect straight line. It divides the blue of the sea from the blue of the sky. It is infinite. There is nothing to break the view. No trees, no buildings, no mountains, just the blue. We drift further out. The sounds of the shore fade away. The scraping of the salt rakes is gone. The creaking of the ships is gone. There is only the sound of the water touching the water. Lap, hush, lap, hush. It is the ultimate white noise. It has no beginning and no end. It surrounds us. It wraps us in a cocoon of sound. The sun is lower now. It is turning orange. It paints a path of glittering light across the waves. We are floating on that path, a road of light leading to the edge of the world. Imagine you are a single drop of water. You started in the dark, cold spring in the hills. You traveled through the stone tunnel. You crossed the bridge. You fell through the pipe. You washed the city. You traveled the river. And now you are here. You are no longer a drop. You are the ocean. There is no more you. There is only the vastness. You have dissolved into the whole. You are safe. You are held. You are everywhere and nowhere. The tension of the journey is gone. The need to move forward is gone. You are already there. You have arrived. A gentle swell lifts us up. We see the curve of the water. Then we slide down into the trough. We see walls of blue water, then up again. Up, down, up, down. It is the motion of a cradle, rocking you to sleep. The sky begins to turn purple, the wine-dark sea of the ancients. The colors are deep and soothing. The light is fading, not into darkness, but into a soft, velvet twilight. A star appears, the same star we saw at the beginning of the journey, Venus. It is watching the end just as it watched the beginning. It is steady. It is a friend. The water is warm on the surface, cool underneath. It regulates your temperature. It makes you perfectly comfortable. Drift, just drift. There are no more landmarks to describe. There is no more history to tell. The Roman Empire is just a speck on the shore behind us. It does not matter out here. The emperors do not rule the waves. The silence rules here. The rhythm of the wave slows down. The wind dies completely. The sea becomes a mirror. Glassy, smooth, still. We are suspended in the twilight. We are floating in a void of peace. Your body feels heavy like the water. Your limbs are liquid. Your thoughts are dissolving like salt in the sea. Let them go. Let them sink to the bottom of the ocean. They will be just sand on the floor of the sea. You don't need to carry them. The water carries everything. The purple sky turns to indigo. The indigo turns to black, but it is a warm black, a protective black. The journey is finished. The work is done. The aqueduct stands silent in the hills. The river flows silent in the city. The sea rests silent under the stars. And you are silent too. Close your eyes. Feel the gentle rock. Sway left, sway right. Sway left, sway right. There is nothing left to see. There is nothing left to hear. Only the silence. Asleep, drift, sleep. The water holds you. The night holds you. Good night.